All right, welcome back. Sports Card Culture number 37. And this one's going to be in honor of Sean Alexander. 2,000-yard rusher. And nobody collects his cards. So that's good. What did you say? He broke the touchdown record?
He broke the touchdown record. So in 2005, I believe, he had an MVP season, and he ran for, I believe, 26 touchdowns.
And then Tomlinson broke
27 touchdowns, actually. And then so that was in 2005. The following season, LaDainian Tomlinson broke that record with 28.
And he was also on the cover of Madden, which cursed him forever.
Yes, he was at the cover of Madden 2008. And, yeah, the following season in 2006, he only had 896 rushing yards and 7 touchdowns. He didn't have 2,000 yards, actually.
Oh, he didn't?
He had 1,800 yards.
Who am I thinking of?
Still really good. You're probably thinking from around the 2000. Well, Adrian Peterson had 2,000 yards in 2012. Chris Johnson.
Chris Johnson
had 2,000.
It's the same guy. That's why people don't collect them, because Chris Johnson, Sean Alexander, who cares?
Well, the issue with running backs is that it's just like once they fall off the map, they're pretty much gone. And also Sean Alexander, when he did have that record, he was already 28, and that's considered old for a running back.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, like right now, Derrick Henry's, he's 27, and people are like, oh, he's going to retire soon. So who knows?
Fair enough. All right, so those who do listen from week to week, this is not Clint I'm talking to this week. We have Jeff List helping us out. Jeff is I'm gonna have you tell your bio, but
yeah.
Jeff is going to be doing a lot of the post production for the videos, and if you've noticed that the last 2 videos look a lot better because of Jeff. So let's go into the title of our video and have that discussion, and then we'll kind of talk about your background and where you're at.
Yeah.
So what did we find out yesterday? You told me about it.
Yeah,
I didn't even know about it.
I actually told you about it. So just the other day on Golden Auctions, there was a 1997-98 Upper Deck game jersey card of Michael Jordan that sold for $2.7 million in a private auction. And this was the most expensive Jordan card ever sold. And the thing about this Jordan card, it's hand numbered out of 25. This is number 6 of
23.
Or 20. Yeah, 23. Yeah. My bad. Obviously, Michael Jordan. And with that being said, it's an autograph on the card. It's one of the earlier jersey cards, which is really cool.
And to be honest with you, part of the reason why Jordan Upper Deck didn't let Jordan sign, there's only a handful of Jordan on card to date. Mm-hmm. So that's part of it.
Right? Yeah, that's part of it. But one interesting thing is, this card was a near mint 8, so it was a BGS near mint 8 and an 8 autograph as well, that's
the part that when I looked up the article, I went, it's an 8, and then I'm like, and an 8? Mm-hmm. Crazy time.
And obviously the pop count, it's serial numbered out of 23, but at the same time too, there's probably a few of those cards that are a PSA 9 and even just a BGS 8.5 and higher. There's got to be at least a few.
And another thing too is there's got to be 15 of them pulled. I mean, even if you account for a massive amount of stashing, which it wasn't. Now, here's what's funny is this. I just thought of this. There are. So what did this come out of? It came out of Upper Deck? Mm-hmm. The base Upper Deck? Okay, so this came out of base Upper Deck. How many of this card do you think is in a drawer somewhere? Because this is $2.50 a pack. How many people pulled it? Was like, oh, that's cool. And then it's in a drawer somewhere. Mom put it away. It's got to be at least 4.
I'd beg to differ with that, just because at the time, this is 1997-98, Michael Jordan was still at the height of his career. Anyone at the time, even from 1990 and on, to pull a Michael Jordan autographed, and yet a Michael Jordan jersey card, yet alone an autograph, that card is going to be. That's not going to be in a drawer. That's going to be in a safe, if anything. Maybe it's locked away in a safe.
What if you're 8?
What if you're 8 years old?
What if you're 11?
I think you know about Michael.
What if you don't collect basketball?
I think you know who Michael Jordan is.
I understand that, but the number of collections that we come in, there's a habit that a certain type of collector has, drives me crazy. But I always want to buy these collections. They will open a pack up, look at the card. These are the most casual collectors on the planet. Look at the cards, put it back in the pack, and they'll put it in a box. And you go, oh, okay, so they pulled out all the good stuff. Nope. One-on-ones, autographs. There's a certain type of, there's an adult collector that does this.
Mm-hmm.
But, Mom, I want some basketball cards. Yeah, I know. Oh, look, I got a Michael Jordan. Oh, that's nice, dear.
Mm-hmm.
And then, didn't like basketball 6 months later.
Yeah.
I think it's 4.
I see your point there, because now that I think about it with
23 of them.
With myself, I look back at my collection, and I actually have I pulled a Manny Machado rookie card in like 2000, 15, and I just put it with all my commons and stuff. And then,
yeah, and don't get me wrong. I mean, you were right on the side of like, this is a relic when relics didn't exist. It's an autograph. But it's amazing to a casual person or even a casual collector that knows some sports, they don't know the value either on the high side or the low side. They might be like, oh, that might be worth $50.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when that got pulled, it was probably what year is it?
97, 98. So that was last dance year.
Okay, so it was my freshman year in college. It was probably $2,500 when it got pulled, maybe $3,500.
Still expensive card.
But I bet it's still a $3,000 card on the market. But when that gets pulled, like, oh, that's really nice. You should keep that. Take care of that card. And then the kid some uncle might go, that's probably worth $100.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan, oh, that's cool. But it's $100.
But also now that you think about this too, is that the hobby back then was nowhere near it is today, and this was a few years after the hobby completely collapsed.
Right.
So a lot of times too, someone's like, oh, obviously it's Michael Jordan, but it's like, oh, it's a sports card. It's not worth
right around 96, probably 96 to 02.
Mm-hmm.
You got a big bounce back.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was right back in the upswing, but nowhere near what 91 was and nowhere near what it is now.
But my take, too, is let's say this is a similar situation, but in the realm of football. Let's say, back then someone pulled a John, or even today, let's say the market was in the same situation and was in that, and someone were to pull a Tom Brady version of that.
Right.
How would that, what kind of gauge would someone get in that?
Well, I'll tell you about Tom Brady. There's far more than 4 contenders sitting in people's drawers.
Oh, yeah.
Tom Brady was a nobody.
He has probably more of that. He says he has someone in his basement.
No, yeah, but like I guarantee you, like there's a bunch of Tom Bradys out there just wasting away in common boxes. Even autos, because he was a 6th-round pick. Nobody cared.
That's true.
So that's a little different than for sure to Jordan. But I would say, my initial reaction to this is we talk about pop count a lot, and what's nice about this card, you mentioned it, like there's only 23 of them right away, but I would argue the opposite. There's 23 of them. Mm-hmm. This one card of the market cap about $50 million. I think if Clint was here, he might say it's underpriced.
Really? How much do you think he thinks it would go for? Probably.
Well, I think his concept is that this type of card is in so many personal collections that will never see the light of day. Mm-hmm. The pop is really like 3.
Really?
In terms of like the next however long for them to come up. You're only ever going to see 1 more or 2 more to come up. Yeah. So then what is the pop really? It's really 2 or 3.
That's true. And also, with that being said, like I wonder how many of those cards too that are out there, what's their condition? Obviously, like jersey cards tend not to grade well, just because they're a little bit of a thicker stock. It's easier to ding up.
Oh, absolutely.
And I wonder too, like we talked about earlier, how many of these cards haven't been pulled yet? Because this was from a base set.
Yeah,
there could be cases upon cases. Mm-hmm. Obviously, production runs were a lot lower back then, but since it's not like this is National Treasures or anything. This is just a regular upper deck base box or base.
I'm looking at this auto. I don't know why I got an 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at. I think it got an 8 because the loops go up into the game jersey, but there's no real spot to sign it. Mm-hmm. And he avoided his head, which is interesting.
Yeah, well, that's
he doesn't sign onto his head, which is funny.
I think another thing too is that it's kind of a thin auto. It's kind of hard to read it because the blue matches like the part that says jersey underneath game.
I'd be real curious to find out why this was an 8. You think it'd be a 9? Is there a smart
I think it's
somewhere?
Also too because if you look on the right, it looks like the autograph kind of comes off the card.
Oh, okay,
so part of the
would
autograph's
do it.
missing.
That would do it.
And one interesting thing about this card, too, is not like a traditional card. It's almost like a Pokemon card. It's kind of got rounded corners. And they actually gave the corners a 7.5. But I think it's because the bottom right corner has a little bit of white.
Are these actually rounded corners?
Yeah, they're actually rounded corners.
That's how they came out of the pack?
I believe so, yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
Which is really
No, what you can do is we can look up, it does have rounded corners.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Which is really, really interesting. I bet the 97, 98, Upper Deck basketball cards probably at standard corners.
Right.
Like this is like, when you see this, it's almost like a die, like someone could think it's a die cut,
Yeah, I don't know. I think everybody thinks the PSA 10 would be about a $20 million card for the Flair rookie, and there's 3 of those.
Mm-hmm. And maybe
there's one autographed on card.
And maybe too, like now that I kind of think about the value of this card, like this was an actual, like back then jersey cards were actually like game worn jerseys. Unlike a lot of cards today, they're more just worn by the player. And I think too, like this was an actual All-Star game jersey. Think about like
that's like blue.
Yeah. Think about this. That jersey was only worn one time, and think about how many people saw that game, how many people have connections to that game. And this is just like an iconic jersey. And
so Jeff, you're worth $50 million.
Mm-hmm.
You buying this card at that amount, or is there other stuff you want?
I think I'd take other stuff personally.
Yeah, so would I. I think the 8 killing me. The 9, I have no problem.
Yeah, knowing that there's probably, like, obviously the pop count isn't one. Like, there's definitely more out there. We don't really know about it, but
I can't wait till I buy a common lot and there's one sitting in there.
Yeah, and it's and it gets an 8.5.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say it goes 8.5 and then it's a 10 autograph. It's like, or let's say it's.
Well, that's the other thing. The 8 autograph is rough.
Yeah.
That's the 8 autograph's rough. Like I could take an 8-10 and be like, all right, it's an 8, it's a jersey card.
Yeah, but but the interesting thing too is the surface has a 9 here, and usually sometimes surface can affect the autograph value.
That's true because they are handling it. Mm-hmm. So that's the problem with on card is you're gonna have lower grades. Well, I think when we came up with the title for the podcast, I think we were going to be a lot stronger that it was way overpriced. I'm starting to think it about right.
I think
so. We lied to everybody.
I think it maybe could be a little lower. I don't
live in this world, right? So it's hard for me to judge.
I think just the fact that this card alone is, from 97, 98. Like obviously, like there's way more Michael Jordan rookie cards, but like.
No, that's the thing. I mean, like the rookie is the rookie.
I think maybe this is starting to become an iconic card, but I don't know. Like, I'd rather pay for a rookie card, absorb an amount of money, and especially like a guy like
Evan
Mahomes.
Is completely. Oh, there you go.
We got a little.
I was like, where is this thing? My store is in such demand that everybody calls me out there. Well, one of the things that's not even a problem. I'll be here at 10:30, and they know I stay so late that they'll go, hey, you still in the store? I'm like, yeah. It's like, can we get some Pokemon? I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Give me 1 second. I think I know who's calling.
Well, while we're at.
All right, that's fun. This is all right. So, all right. So we covered our main topic. So let's talk about you.
Yeah.
So your name's Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
What's your deal?
What's my deal? Well, I am currently a student at the University of Minnesota. I'm currently in the master's program for marketing. I just graduated undergrad last May, so I'm in a 1-year master's in marketing program.
Is it an MBA program or is it a?
It's just a regular, just a 1-year master's.
Okay.
Master in marketing.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I'm originally from the suburbs of Chicago, so I went to undergrad actually at the University of Minnesota. So I've been here for a few years, very familiar with the cold up here in Minnesota, and then hopefully after I'm done with this program in May and get a job in the realm of marketing and maybe content creation in Chicago.
Now, what's interesting is you weren't sure that you're going to enter that program, and you had one job offer that might be relevant.
Yeah,
where were you almost right now?
Yeah, so I could have actually been in Rochester, Minnesota right now as a multimedia journalist and part sports reporter. So I went to undergrad and I majored in broadcast journalism, and I really wanted to, do something in the realm of sports broadcasting, to hopefully be one day a sports anchor, hopefully in, home in Chicago or New York City or somewhere like that. And I kind of had a little epiphany, a little moment where when I was, right after I graduated college in May, I kind of had a little thought. I'm like, man, like I have to like I got a job offer actually in Rochester, Minnesota.
It's hard to say no.
And it's hard to say no about that because I got a job offer. I'm actually finally making money. But then I really looked into it. The money really wasn't there. I'm not going to say how much I would have made, but the money definitely wasn't there. And at the same time too, I definitely didn't want a job where I'd be working, weird hours. I kind of thought about this. Like I'm so used to like school, like basically like 9 to 5, and I kind of thought to myself, well, I have to work from like 2 to 10 p.m. at night or 2 to 11 p.m. at night. Do I really want to do that?
Right.
Or would I rather, work a true 9 to 5 and then enjoy my, enjoy my nights and even just enjoy my weekends too? Because in this career, you got to work a lot of weekends. You got to work a lot of holidays, and I'm like, I don't want to miss Thanksgiving. I don't want to miss like, New
Did
Year's.
you have any concerns about it being old media and maybe needing to pivot in like just 6 years or 3 years?
I actually did have a little bit of that thought too, because when I looked at the numbers and stuff, definitely television news is starting to dwindle. People are cutting cable really quickly now. People are getting their news also from just various news sources other than watching TV, especially the younger generation like millennials and Gen Z. Like the majority of people right now that watch television news are, usually people between the ages of 40 and up, and
old people like me.
Old people are watching TV news, and people.
By the way, I'm not watching TV news either. So
people my generation are usually getting their news from just watching like quick little video bites online, or just reading little highlight updates, or just like checking Twitter, and because of it, a lot of news stations have cut back. A lot of them have reduced size of their employees. A lot of them have also cut back on salaries too, just because they're not getting as much ad revenue because less people are watching it. And I kind of thought too, it's like, well, like in 20 years, what's going to be like it for me? Like would I make a healthy living being a sports anchor or just a news anchor in general? And I came to question that when I made my decision. And also being said too, with this career, you kind of got to start off in like small areas. I would have had to start not Rochester, Minnesota isn't the world's smallest town, but coming from the suburbs of Chicago, this is definitely really small for me. And I realized I would have had to sign a 2-year contract there, be there 2 years. Coming home to visit friends and family would be vacation for me instead of spending a true vacation, going somewhere where I want to go. Going somewhere where I want to go is really my home.
No, I'll push back a little bit. Not that this is Find a Career podcast, but I will push back a little bit. If you end up in new media, I would argue you might end up having to work more hours, but maybe more flexible as to when you're going to work.
Yeah.
So you might end up working, 60 hours a week, but you can kind of grind out that work around what you want to do.
Exactly.
So that's helpful.
Yeah. With that being said, it's like I can, instead of working 2 to 11 or like working like all day weekends, I could grind from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. but get the weekends off. I can kind of craft the schedule the way I want to.
Yeah, that's the real thing. I mean, we talk about even like this podcast. I'm happy to announce also that with Jeff's help, because we can get this podcast done in quick enough time, we can now say every Thursday at 7:00 we'll premiere on YouTube. And that's pretty cool. So now you can actually expect it out. So that's really helpful. I was showing you right before we taped that our click-through rate went up by 50% in the last 2 videos.
So keep it up.
And now, so some of that is just the graphics, the thumbnail is better. Some of it was, we're actually putting a title in there, and that helped been really helpful so far. So we're gonna keep making it better. That's the goal. And if if you don't like how it's being done, then I will share your phone number and email, and they can complain directly to you. So, all right. So, Cards, I do want to talk about a couple of baseball players. Sunday, whenever it was. So I have a large in-person autograph collection that I took on consignment maybe 3-ish years ago. 45,000 in-person autograph cards. It was a massive, massive project. I ended up buying out the remainder of it maybe 6 months ago. And I had about 100 cards that were JSA'd. And so those are the best ones. So some guys I was kind of looking forward to see, like, oh, it'll be good to have that guy. I think he'll pan out. One of them was Austin Riley. I get a sale. Had $60 on the card. And I priced it when he made his debut. And just went nuts, right? And I can't remember what he did like that first 3 weeks, but he went crazy. And I want to say he got injured, if that sounds right.
This season?
No, his rookie season.
Oh, yeah, his rookie season, yes.
Didn't he get hurt? Like, it was like 3 weeks, and then he got hurt?
Yeah, because he only played 80 games his rookie year. He got hurt. And, he got hurt, which definitely hurt him because that season was 2019. And if you think about the rookies that debuted that year, you got Fernando Tatis Jr. and you got Vlad Guerrero Jr. So you got a lot of other big names, but...
So I'm looking at 19.
All said and done, he had a despite playing 80 games, he had finished with 18 home runs, 49 RBIs.
Yeah.
His average,
but he hit 226.
His average did slack.
But I want to say he was hitting 380 the first 3 weeks out of the gate. Something nuts like that. Right?
Yeah.
And so that's when I priced it. And, like, okay, and then last year, what did he get? 239, got 8 home runs. The short season, who cares? So I saw this card and I go... What I mean, I want a 60. Guy offered me 50. I'm like, all right, like that's fine. But when that happens and somebody's not on my radar, the first thing I do, and I suggest everybody to do this if you do a good till canceled listing, and then some guy you're like, why is this selling? Google what's happening before you take the offer. The first article pops up and it says Riley long shot for Hall of Fame MVP race, and I'm like, what are you talking about? I play fantasy baseball all year. I look him up. He hit 303 with 33 home runs, and nobody knows this.
Yeah. And a lot of it, too, is I think Austin Riley is just overshadowed. Like, phenomenal
season. You got
season.
Acuna, you got Albies.
Yeah. Well, he batted.
You got Freddie Freeman.
OPS was just under 900. He batted 303. Obviously, his strikeouts were a lot, 168, but... I think a lot of it, too, is that he's overshadowed on a team with a lot of other talent. You got, Ozzie Albies, like you said, Acuna Jr., but also just
last year's MVP.
His rookie class, though, the guys who he kind of came up with. Because think about the guys from 2019, those rookies. Yeah, like I said earlier, everyone looks at Vlad Guerrero Jr., Fernando Tatis Jr. They're kind of in the mix. And a lot of it, like, the thing is, he's 24. He's still a really young player.
Right.
He came up at 22 years old. But these guys are... Vlad Guerrero and Tatis are 21, 22, and people are like, they make a big assumption. Oh, they're younger, they're going to be better for a longer time.
But here's the thing. Now, the reason why we want to talk about this stuff is this is a guy who might very well be extremely underpriced in the market because he's being so overshadowed. If you're talking 24, so breakout year for baseball players, this is like the year that most players have their career year, their real breakout year, or if they don't have one by that age, they tend to like go away, and that's year number 27. And so when you got a guy who's 3 years before 27 having
MVP numbers.
Monster, I mean 33 home runs, 303 is a monster year. I mean, it just is.
Yeah.
And so, are you looking up?
Yeah, I'm looking up his.
What are you seeing?
So I'm seeing his 2019. So his rookie card. Topps Chrome up, so it's an update base, so it's a little bit of a lower pop, I guess. Its current price PSA 10 is $75.
Now,
I think.
Now, has it gone up at all?
It's actually gone over the past 30 days. It's gone down 2%.
What about in the last month or two?
Well, the past month it's 2%. I don't know about the past. I can check.
$61.
A couple October
so it's only
5th.
Bumped up like $10. So I would, and then $75 as a price point for the PSA 10. I mean, we're talking. There might be as much as $40 from 75 as not even a crazy jump if he has another good year again next year and he gets some notice.
I think if he has another good year, his card's gonna more than double that. I think it's going to be probably around the 180, maybe 2.
That seems a little high, though.
Maybe
I mean,
170.
that's like
if he has an MVP, like
well,
he's in the
MVP,
running.
sure, but I'm
He's
just
in the
talking
running.
like another 35 home runs, 290, 310. I think we're seeing 125, 130 get some notice because he did it again, right? Now I got a second guy, same age, by the way, and I have talked about him a million times on this podcast. And it just goes to show you that I'm right about everything. So, Kyle Tucker, yet again, I'm talking about him being undervalued. And so I don't know what got me to look him up because it happened at the same moment. I looked up Riley. I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then it popped in my head. I'm like, I wonder how Tucker's been doing. Because I'm not an Astros fan. I don't really care. And he wasn't on my fantasy team.
And one thing about, just to go off on Riley, he had this past season he had a 6.1 WAR. Which is pretty good.
Yeah, no doubt, right? So Tucker, who, by the way, and a lot of people like it doesn't matter, but I think it matters, was not part of the cheating scandal.
Nope.
Nor was Yordan Alvarez. I remember we talked about Yordan
Only
last
played
week,
22
and Evan's
games
like,
that season.
nah, he's a cheater. Yeah, he's a part of the organization. I still think buying Altuve is a good deal. Like,
oh, I agree.
Oh my,
he's only 31 years old.
Oh my, like
he's still got another 4 years left at least.
Altuve tanked, and he's recovered barely. So Tucker, 294, 30 home runs.
OPS of 917.
5.7 WAR.
Yeah.
So a little under Riley. Like, here's the thing. Right before we started taping, what'd you say, Evan? Astros and Braves move on in the playoffs. Now, that's a big. So I'm not even talking about next year now. I'm talking about in the next series. Tucker, Riley hit the key home run. That's a big bump. We talked about that last week. And so can you see what Tucker is?
Yeah. So right now I'm looking at Tucker. So he's part of just the 2019 Topps Chrome base, and his card is going for around $58 in a PSA 10.
Ooh, that's like kind of a whatever. I mean, like $50 is more like a flyer.
And his refractor is going for about 118.
Ooh, I would totally target the refractor. Then.
Yeah,
like
I think that's a.
And you got to remember, if it's 58 on eBay, you had a show.
This
$45.
Listen to this.
Right? $50.
The most recent sale of his X-Fractor Chrome went for $125 July 23rd.
Yeah, it's not even so. Well, no. Here's the thing about the X-Fractor though. That year they didn't make any. They're like numbered to 125 or 250. I know update to 125. Base might be a little more, but like they were being super stingy with X-Factors. X-Factors used to be like one of the most common refractors you could get. Like it was every third pack.
Yeah, like in 08, I remember there's a bunch of like the Joey Votto ones.
And so I noticed that like in 18, like they just killed all those parallels in terms of pull rate. So yeah, those are two guys. Keep an eye on them. They have advanced in the playoffs. So I might not be talking about a year from now. I might be talking about a week from now. Definitely keep an eye on those prices. And what's nice about those two guys too is if you're out of market. So if you're not in Houston, if you're in Minnesota, let's say I didn't really care about Kyle Tucker, and I priced them 3 months ago. And my customers don't care about the Astros, right?
Yeah.
I might have 3 months ago pricing. I might have a PSA 10 for $40 because I gave up on them for $35. I mean, you can still find that stuff out of market. And I just haven't looked up the current price because I didn't even realize he was having that good of a year.
And the thing like about both these guys is that these guys are overshadowed. Kyle Tucker's overshadowed by Bregman. He's overshadowed by Altuve, is overshadowed by Correa. So that's one issue, too. They're a little younger, but also hopefully soon these guys are going to be the faces of these, elite franchises. Absolutely. And let's say, both of them go on to have great playoff success. It's only going to boast well for themselves as well as their card prices. I
got an NBA. So one of the things I do to change sports there, I will look in the preseason for like the NBA and even spring training for MLB, and I'll see like who's killing it in preseason, so that I can get rid of like bad players early. So let me look this up. Leaders. So there was a guy Bucks. I don't know how to say his name. Wara? Nwora. He's like 5th so far in preseason.
Really?
Yeah, so Jordan right now, oh, he was 5th, so he might have had a bad game or two. Jordan Poole's leading, 25 points a game. And here's the thing, I sold all my Jordan Poole to a customer yesterday.
Oh.
And so I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Jaylen Brown, fine. John Morant, Kevin Durant, that's fine. And Tyler Hero. So
yeah, he's been
Hero's interesting. Like he went to the sky, completely tanked, and now in preseason he's showing some spark again. Hero might very well be a guy who, if you don't like him, you might be able to move him in preseason.
Yeah.
Because he's got that sort of bounce back ricochet effect where he was selling real well.
Mm-hmm. He's streaky guy.
And you know, his name's in people's heads.
Mm-hmm.
And so that can absolutely be a thing.
Yeah, he's in people's heads. Obviously, everyone remembers him from the 2020 NBA Finals. And he's a guy, too, that's on a really good basketball team. And the thing is, like, even if you may be struggling a little bit, but your team carries you, it's going to help. It's going to help your prices.
Yeah, the only other one I really need, preseason numbers you should not.
Yeah,
but you want to sell the hype. You want to sell the hype.
Oh yeah.
Right?
If you make a little profit.
Or if somebody's dying that's like a perennial all-star, you're like, oh yeah, he stinks in preseason, and I'll give you half off. You know?
Yeah, you take advantage of
that. But
that.
one interesting, I did see another clip, and I roll my eyes that I want him to keep doing it because I hate him. But I'm not really holding. I'm only holding a little bit. It's ball. Another clip. Oh, look at this amazing ball play. What is the deal, and what is the fascination with ball? It drives me to no end.
I just think it's just the height. Like, think about that, man. Like, he's so tall. 7'2", but also, like...
Jeez.
But, like, he was so good in high school and coming up. He was
7'2", playing against high school kids.
He was supposed to be a stud in college, and he got hurt. I just think people... You know, it's kind of like the same deal with Michael Porter Jr. Obviously, he's had a little bit more success in the NBA. Like, this guy was one of the most talented high school, you know, a top 10 prospect coming up. And people know that he's a really talented player. And he's only 21 years old.
Well, the other thing, though, is, like, you know how Durant has those really long arms?
Mm-hmm.
When he takes the shot, he doesn't use every inch of his arm to make the shot. Ball does. Ball goes like all the way up, all the way back, all the way forward. It takes an hour to get a shot off. That's one of the reasons why I hate him in terms of even if it was fantasy and I wouldn't want him, but in cards for sure. I'm just selling every ball I got. I just wait for 3 clips of them and then list them on eBay and get rid of them. So I might be eating my words, but oh well.
And the injury bug too is definitely not going to help him. He's only played 39 games in the past.
Well, with him being that tall, that's always the problem. But Durant's 7'2". I mean, I think what is he listed at 6'11"?
Well, he's listed at 6'9". He's really like 6'11", 7 feet.
Right.
But he did that in order to have teams let him play small forward.
Yeah. So all right. So those are just the 2 things I got for this one. But so I want to go back to you. And tell us about how you got started in cards, collecting, and where you started and where you're at now.
Yeah, for sure. So sports cards, you know, I'm 22 years old right now. Sports cards has been a good portion of my life. I've been involved in it, at least as of recent. But I guess the first time I really, you know, collected cards to some extent was I started really in like 2004. And it wasn't really actually sports cards. It was just Yu-Gi-Oh cards because all my friends were into Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I remember this was in kindergarten, so this was 2004, 2005. And all my friends were collecting Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and I had to jump on the bandwagon with them. So
Just to be clear, I owned a house in 2004.
Yeah. That's crazy to think about. I was in kindergarten. I was learning.
You're that young, I'm that old.
I was learning how to write, which is wild to think about. And you're buying a house. But anyways, I got really into that. I saw the movie, and I got cards from that. And then when I was playing, like, Little League Baseball growing up, I started just buying, like, our coach would give us cards after games. And
cool.
Unfortunately, it was a year where there wasn't too many good rookies for baseball. It was like...
So what year was that?
2006.
Yeah, that
was like Verlander, but not really.
05? No, Verlander's 05.
Verlander 05.
Well, no, he had an RC card.
Had the RC, and then 2007 there was really nobody, and then 08 I wish I got more cards then because I don't have any 2008 baseball cards, which is weird. So I collected a lot. Actually, I collected a lot from like 05 to 07. Nothing from 08. I'm upset about that because I could have had Scherzer. I could have had Votto.
Oh, sure.
I could have had those guys, but unfortunately, I just didn't collect then. And then, so I collected for a while. Then I stopped. Then I got really into Pokemon actually in 08. So I collected a lot of like that Level X stuff. And then I really stopped up until 2000. And actually, then I did buy some hockey cards in 2009, 2010 because the Blackhawks were doing well. I was like, may as well get some hockey cards.
I'm pretty sure they beat the Wild. They beat the Wild like every year.
Oh, yeah. The Blackhawks were such a dominant team then. But actually, when I really started getting into the cards was football, 2012 football season, because my younger brother, who's currently a freshman in college right now, so he's
Russell
18.
Wilson?
Yeah, that was a nice year. So my brother got really into football cards. Him and all his friends.
Older
brother? Younger brother. He's a freshman in college.
Oh, okay.
So he was like in fifth grade at the time. Yeah, he was in fifth grade because I was in eighth grade.
Okay.
You get that and a jumbo pack. Just like a and I don't know, and I found out my dad collected cards as a kid. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I collected some cards here and there." I was like, "Really?" So I literally went to my grandparents' house and I searched for hours and hours, and then
you were looking for treasure. You were looking for treasure.
And I stumbled upon this shoebox. And there's a bunch of I opened it up with a bunch of cards in there, and unfortunately the classic bunch of cards is from 1969 to 1973.
Oh, well, it's not bad. And
a bunch of cards wrapped, in the old dry rubber bands, which is not the best thing.
No.
I found some gems. Obviously, they would not grade well, but I found a 1969 Nolan Ryan.
Oh, nice.
A 69 Joe Namath, a couple Tom Seavers, a couple other Nolan Ryan from like the early 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Found an O.J. Simpson 1971 Kellogg's card. Some really cool like Jacques Lemaire Montreal Canadiens cards. And just a lot of like good bait, like Willie Stargell, Ernie Banks, just like good names.
You know what's interesting about a find like that, and this is not majority of what's happening. Majority of what's happening is ignorance and irrational exuberance. But like some cards, because I know this because my Pokemon guy is giving to me, and they'll go like some of those cards, if you would have said those last to be graded, it wouldn't be worth it from a monetary standpoint, but they're your dad's card. So then you make a display out of it. I have a lot of Pokemon guys that'll just go, I need to grade these 3 starters. And I'm like, I look it up and I'm like, it's not really worth the fee. He goes, I don't care. These are
That's
my
what my
cards.
best friend does
These
with
are
his Pokemon
my
cards.
Yeah.
He has his like level X's and he sent them in and got like a 4-back, but he's like, these are my cards.
My cards.
And I understand the sentimental value.
That's a real thing.
And that's completely fair because it's like that emotional attachment.
Please don't do that. Please don't do that.
No. Nowadays, like a year or two ago, yeah, that's totally fine because grading was only like $10. But nowadays, you're crazy if you do that.
I'm still waiting on November 15th.
Oh yeah.
But I still think I'm over a month away.
So going on from that, I've obviously found my dad's cards and I brought them into the shop and showed them. And actually, I'd buy, those like kind of those. Those packs they have in Walgreens where you just get a bunch of like random cards.
50 cards. That's an Iowa
Yeah,
company.
so I bought one and I actually got a Brian Urlacher rookie out of that.
Oh, there you go.
It was like one of the it wasn't like a Topps one or a Bowman. It was like some weird brand, but it was some guy was trying to offer me $50 for it back then. I should have sold it at the time.
You didn't sell it?
I should have sold it at the time. It was raw.
Could have bought 5 more
I know.
packs.
I should have done that, but like it's probably still worth like that much raw today. Maybe even less, honestly.
No, Urlacher is pretty affordable. I had an
But
auto
like
of his
$50
that was-
raw in 2013.
Yeah, you should have
I should have taken that. I don't know. I just didn't know. And then my baseball coach actually was really into card. He buys some crazy expensive vintage stuff.
Sure.
Like I don't even, like he's got a lot of.
Back then he's doing.
He's doing just fine right now. But I actually went to the National with him.
And what year?
2013 National. That was my first
2013
National.
I'm 20 years older than you, but you beat me by 4 years to the National.
So I went there and I bought. My brother and I were really hyped on RG3, and I think we got this combo deal where we paid. My brother and I paid $50, and we got both a Alshon Jeffrey Top Strata RPA numbered out of like 100,
Oh my!
and a a rookie jersey card of RG3, both for $50, which is like
at the time that
was honestly a pretty good deal if you think about it. Like I think at least. Imagine that. Horrible deal now. But like Alshon Jeffrey, I guess at the time was like if I sold that a year later, I probably would have profited decently.
Jeffrey was like he had a 3-year period where
he was a monster. And I knew he was gonna be good because he had his rookie year he was good, but he was hurt, and then his second and third year he was like a top 10 guy.
It's kind of like had the progression kind of like the Redskins wide receiver. McLaurin just was good, but it seems like
well, there's actually funny enough, there's a lot of those guys. I feel like I'm really actually this year at the National when I was there with you, I really targeted guys going to be in their second or third year, and I think that's a really prime breakout year for players. I have especially receivers, but I just think in football, any like skills position in general, I'll give some examples. Think about Lamar Jackson, his second year MVP. Obviously, Mahomes didn't start till his second year, but you can count second year MVP. CMC's third year, crazy year. Derrick Henry took a little longer, it was his fourth year, but he really started to pick up his third year. His first 1,000-yard season. So this year, I've really targeted guys like A.J. Brown, Hollywood Brown, who's had a great. I've actually got.
How is he doing?
He's got 5 touchdowns so far, and like.
Because Brown is my third guy of young receivers that I think are gonna blow up. And it's DK Metcalf, Deebo Samuel, and then Brown was my third. And they're all and Brown's having to get all three of them are doing
I think my take on I think Metcalf's phenomenal, but like Wilson and Tyler Lockett have just such a strong connection. Yeah. And it's kind of hurts them. But
we've been waiting for Lockett to break out for 4 years.
Yeah.
I mean, at some point. Lockett's gonna be 40, and
that's
not gonna matter.
But yeah, Hollywood Brown though, he's a guy. I actually got 3 of his cards at the Nationals. I got 2 select cards. They weren't field. I think they were. They may have been field level. And their one was numbered out of 299, and the other was numbered out of 149. And I got them for like each for like I don't know, like $10 a pop, and then for $20 I got his optic hollow rated rookie numbered out of 99 like auto. But the issue with that, I got it for $20. But it has a little scratch on it though. That's the like it's not going to grade well just because it's a really big noticeable stat. But anyways, this year in 5 games played, he has 28 receptions, so he's averaging a little more than 3 he's averaging a little more than 5 receptions a game, 451 yards receiving and 5 touchdowns. So he's had 1,500 yards. My take on him, I think he's a phenomenal receiver. He's only 24 years old. The issue is he's a really speedy guy, and we'll have to rely on his speed also. He's only 5'9". He's kind of like a Tyreek Hill type, but not like no one's as fast as Tyreek Hill. He's just too fast.
You know what's funny though is Hill doesn't sell for anywhere near what you'd think though. Mm-hmm. I had a silver prism of him at like $40.
I just think in football is people just go after quarterbacks. It's like and it's like that too with baseball. It's like even if a pitcher is really good, it's just that people go after the more exciting. But it's weird too to think about for position players in football because wide receiver is like one of the most popular positions in terms of just
and they can play for
they can play for that long. Because like I wonder how much a guy like Calvin Johnson. Like,
I would argue even Randy Moss is super.
Yeah, I saw some of his I saw some of his raw cards at the National, like just his base rookie, and that stuff was like, I'm like, that's a.
I would. So what we're saying here is there's opportunities at all 3 positions: quarterback, running back, wide receiver. But understand, wide receiver and running back, there's a cap to what it can be. It's just never gonna break through that cap. Whereas the quarterback's almost unlimited, and what it can be. So I got a question for you. So you go to the first national in 2013. How old are you?
I was 14.
14. So that's not that long ago. 8 years ago. What are any thoughts on the national from 2013 to the one that you just went to? Like how many more people do you think there were? What kind of feeling was buzz?
I'd say one thing for sure is there's like a million times more people. Like just walking around this year's nationals, it's like you're walking through zoo. Like,
did you go to 17 or 19?
I went to 17 and 19 as well.
What would you say it was 17 a lot more busy than the
I'd
first
say
time?
19 was really when
The
it
big
cut
bump?
really
The
the
big
big bump,
Okay.
and
Okay.
that kind of makes sense because the hobby started picking up right before the pandemic,
Right.
and that was like
Well,
2019.
I would
A little
argue
bit
that
before.
right around 2016, you could just see a lot of 90s collectors coming back in the hobby. Of course, it's a slow growth. Like, so that makes sense. By the time 19 hits, we're already having trouble. Card shops are having trouble getting new product. You know, before they could order for 3 months, and now they're like, well, you can get out of half a case, and then you're done. And so that wouldn't surprise me that you saw a noticeable jump in 19 from
And also with 2021 there's a lot more media, a lot more content creators. Like, I would just walk around this past year and I just see tons of video cameras, tons of people with press passes, and I remember in 2013 it wasn't the same. Also, in this past year there was a big difference. There was a lot of promotional stuff too, just a lot more giveaways, a lot more breakers too. There were started to be breakers, I'd say, in 2017. I noticed, but 2013 there was hardly any.
I can tell you the birth of breaking. The birth of like large scale breaking. So because I'm sitting on, I don't have much of a budget, but I'm on the blowout forums all the time. So like. My budget's like $40 a month. $100 a month. Like, random box here and there. I'm gonna live through looking at blowout. And I know what year it is because I pulled a card. So breaking has started about you were reading about it. Maybe year and a half prior. And I had pulled I went to a local card shop, Tom France in Moundsview, which isn't open anymore. And I want to say, do you remember? Billy Hamilton,
Yes.
Bowman draft auto. What year?
That would have been, I think, 2010, 2009.
That's the right time period.
Still playing today.
So one of the things is, like, when I got married, I got married on a Sunday, and the Vikings were playing the Titans. And the Vikings don't play the Titans every year. And so part of what helped me out is whenever I got to figure out what year I was married, I just kind of know about the right year, and then I find out where we lost to the Titans, and then that's the day I got married. So it's great. So this is kind of the same thing. And so I'm gonna go to eBay real quick and go Billy Hamilton auto. Billy Hamilton Bowman auto. Alright, so 2012.
Wow.
So 2012. I thought it was more like 10.
Yeah.
So maybe around 2010-ish, you were starting to see people on Ustream going like, oh, we're doing some breaking. I was reading about it, and like, breaking never interested me, like, ever. And so I was reading about it. So it all ties in. I'm at Tom Francis, and I buy some pack, and then Bowman Draft came out, and I said, I just want one pack of Bowman Draft. And he opened up a new box. And another customer there, he immediately goes, I'll take the rest of that box. Which is a good move. Because it's not. I think it's 24 packs. So it's something like I read this somewhere where like the math works like if you have 24 choices and there's only one prize and you take one away.
Oh, the odds are.
It's not 23 out of 24. It's higher than that you're going to get the prize because the chances that I'm right is microscopic. It's something weird like that, right? So he just buys the rest of the box. He's like, okay, cool. I got the box for. $4 less, $4 a pack. Yeah, right.
I wonder how much that box was back then too.
Dude, that box was. Oh no, I know how much it was. They're $90 box.
That's how much I paid for.
Because it's like $3.60 if you divide it, but then if you pack it out, it's at $4.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, dude, they were $90 box. So I didn't have $90. So I bought one pack and I bought some tops. I don't know what I bought. And so he proceeds to just mow through his 23 packs. I'm opening my other pack, my top, my whatever. And I know he's mowing through it. And I'm expecting him to get the auto. And so I'm looking at him, and I open my packs real slow because I have such a small budget. Like, I literally had $30 to been.
And
so I'm looking through real slow, and I'm talking to the owner, Tom. And this guy's good. I like this guy. And then I turn and to the mountain wrapper, and I opened 2 packs, and he did 23. I go, who was your auto? He goes, I didn't get one. And I went, oh, interesting. I have never opened 3 more packs more slow in my life because this dude was firing lasers at me the entire time. I wouldn't look at him, and I would look at the pack and go, hey Tom, I like this guy. No, he's in double A right now. I'm having these long conversations with him, and this guy dying for me to open this pack. So I finally get the pack. I open. I get an orange Billy Hamilton 25 auto. So that was auto. So now this goes back. And you're like, what the hell does this have to do with braking? I had listed it for sale. It was like the day it came out. Somebody else had one listed for auction about the same time. He sends me a message and goes, so this is a story of like what not to do. Cause what are you doing? I got an email and it goes, having two of this card up at the same time, not helping our prices. And I go, well, feel free to take yours off. Like I don't understand what he's trying to do. And so I get into this like war with him on eBay. eBay Messenger, like going back and forth. I notice his name. His name is a blowout. He's a blowout member. I like notice he uses the same name on blowout as he does on eBay. Well, that guy was a breaker. And so I made fun of him on Blow Up, but the following week he was opening 40 cases of Bowman Chrome. Oh, that might have been the next year. Might have been a year later. Because I remember making fun of him while he was doing it. It was hilarious. And so he did 40 cases. So I would argue right in that year, this is a long story to tell you about the year that birthplace of breaking. But about 2012, 2013, it was starting to get to a point where everybody kind of knew what it was within the hobby. Whereas before that, maybe 2 years prior, because you needed a app. So Ustream was where people would do it. And so birthplace 2010, 2011, 2012 for breaking. So a lot of breakers. That was a big long ass story from a lot of breakers at the most recent national. So it's 2013. You get back on track. 2013, you go to the national. What happened after that?
After that. I kind of just got busy with high school hockey, high school baseball, where I didn't really like.
So that's a very normal story.
I'm starting to become a teenager. I didn't really it was kind of a kid's thing to do, so I didn't really collect cards that much. But I would always get into it though over the summer, just because. The National was always in Chicago every 2 years. So I did go to the 2015 one as well, the 2017, 2019. So I've been literally every.
Were you finding cards that were you just going to Target and seeing cards and getting a poll?
I wasn't even buying. I don't think I really bought any cards from then. I think probably from 2013 till I stopped buying from I'd say 2013 up until then I would just buy individual stuff at the National. I remember
so you kept going to the National.
Yeah, I would just buy stuff that I was interested in.
That is the craziest thing I've ever heard. I'm not buying cards anymore, but I'm gonna go to the National Card Show, whereas most card collectors are I buy cards all the time.
I just didn't have the time that much to go because I was busy with hockey or baseball every single day of the week. And I remember I actually went to I think it was the 2015 National. I bought or 2017. I bought a Jason Kipnis autograph card just because he's lives down the street from me back home, and I just wanted an autograph card because he used to, and I wouldn't be able to get in touch with him. And also I bought a Derek Sanderson, who's this player for the Boston Bruins back in the 70s, who was was the Joe Namath of hockey, had his own TV show. So I bought his autograph card for $10 or something.
right.
I was like,
Yeah,
that's
right.
cool. And also I bought like a couple Josh Hamilton things because he was like one of my favorite players when I was younger.
Dude, he was a
Yeah.
monster.
So I bought a couple like autographed cards of him and stuff from like when he started like decline. So like in 2015, 2017. And I do remember that I didn't really start buying packs again up until probably like 2019. I started buying stuff again. I started
And we just mentioned like 2019. You could really see that.
I remember I bought for I bought it for retail price the 2019 Topps Chrome Hobby Box. I think it was like $90. Yeah, I paid $90, and it's crazy to think about $90 for a Chrome Hobby Box because today
2019
that thing is worth over $300. And also just retail price today of a Chrome Hobby Box is well over $150, if not more. I remember I did pull a Vlad Guerrero Jr. out of that, which is really cool. I pulled a refractor Cedric Mullins, which I'm kind of excited about. Hopefully he continues to play well. A Kyle Wright auto. And then also I bought a lot of Heritage. I was just really big into Heritage. I got I have a couple Tatis Juniors, couple Vlad Guerreros. I actually have a Vlad Guerrero canvas sticker, which is kind of cool. How much is it? It's like $300 now.
Do you want to know? 2019 Topps Chrome Hobby. I have a $920 sale.
Just regular hobby.
Just a hobby box, not a jumbo. A $975 best offer. Jumbo was $1,800.
Oh my god.
Jumbo would have been like
Imagine if I just bought two of those.
No, well here's the thing. You want to? I don't even feel bad for you because I bought 4 boxes.
And I remember it like it was yesterday. Like I was 20 years old. And I'm only 22 right now.
All right. So I wrote Bowman and then Bidman. Okay. So let's go to Souls. Are you ready for it? So this is what happens when you've been in the hobby forever. Here you go. I bought 4 boxes from Tom Franson at $60 a box, 2009 Bowman draft. We at $6,500 a box.
Wow.
I busted all 4.
Who was in that 2009? I think it was a pretty good year.
Trout. Yeah, it was Trout, but there's some other guys. But it was just like I opened draft every year. Every year I would try to buy. I'd want one box for sure, and then if I had more money, I'd buy more. And I remember I bought 4 boxes of 09. Can't even remember what I got out of it. I remember 08. I pulled a unicorn box. It was one auto per. I pulled the case hit of Alex Rodriguez and BJ Upton. So the dual, it was like the sell sheet card. And I think because it was like the case hit or the multiple case hit, the machines or the formula they're using, it spit in 2 more autos, right? And so I get that one. Obviously, that's the best card. Then I get 2 base autos, a Carlos Gutierrez, who I was stoked about because it was the Twins' #1 pick, and a guy named Mike Stanton. I'm like, I don't know who that is. And so I would go home and I go, oh, he had 50 home runs last year. I might want to keep an eye on that. But that's one of the reasons why I've always paid attention to Mike Stanton.
Do you still have that Mike Stanton?
No, I sold it. Many years later. I had it for a while. But I sold the duel at Twins Fest that
you worked at Twins Fest?
I
went to I was at the 2018 Twins Fest.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, it was 2018. Was that still at Metrodome?
No.
Longer. So here's the deal. Metrodome, 2010 they did Targetfield. The Metrodome Twins Fest was so good because it's all AstroTurf, and the card show was
just all over the.
And here's the funny thing is like from a square footage standpoint, Twins Fest was about half the size of the National. But actually seemed smaller because you go up in the stands and get like a bird's eye view of the whole thing. It was awesome. The entire field.
That'd be cool to be at.
Maybe the same amount of. Because thing is, the entire Twins Fest was the whole field.
Yeah.
So the card show was only. Not only, probably half the field.
That's still big.
Yeah, that's a monster. I want to say 450 tables. Now in 06, the year I came home, so it would have been probably it would have been winter '07 because they didn't do it till January. The weekend before Super Bowl. And so Morneau just won the MVP. And when you were I got a table that year. And what was great is I could hide because you got in early, and then they would have autograph line, and Maurer would always sign like right away. And the trick was they wouldn't let the dealers go in line first. It was a bunch of crap because I paid $400 for that table. But I would wait until like a few people would run in, and then I would just kind of merge in the crowd. So I wouldn't be the first in line, but I'd be like,
oh yeah, you get in there.
So I was scooping up Maurer out. I ended up with like 6 Maurer. It was awesome. That's amazing. Like, I mean, you're buying a box, and all of a sudden the box is $1,000. Paid $90.
Crazy to think about.
Ultimately, I mean, we always say holding sealed product is the safest way to get a return. Opening is the most fun. And
it's inevitable because you know the pop count's always going to go down when people open it up, whereas the pop count's going to go up on a card because someone's going to find a new one.
The second I open one pack, there's one less pack. And that's just the way it is.
All right.
Do you have any other nuggets that you've been thinking about in card hobby?
Yeah, I got one more actually.
One more. What is your back pocket?
Yeah, so right now in the world of sports, a new film's gonna come out actually. The Kurt Warner movie. I think now is the time to maybe invest in Kurt Warner cards, right now. If you can listen to this as soon as you can, because leading up the hype to the movie, I think there's going to be a huge surge.
We talked about that right before you tape. You had mentioned it. Somebody else mentioned to me the day before. And I remembered the Jordan thing, and it's very interesting. You really do have to buy in right away if you want to take advantage of it. Everybody goes, well, I'm going to sell after it comes out because it's going to spike. But it had spent. Do you know when it's coming out?
It's coming out like December or something.
December something. So you got 2 months, right? So it happens. Everybody built in that value, and then when it comes out, everybody sells, and it either keeps the value flat or reduces. Then we talk about that with people being expected to win an MVP or winning a title. Christmas Day. Okay, cool. So we talk about that a lot. Like LeBron, we all knew he was going to win the finals. He got built up. He won the finals. His prices stayed flat. Had he lost, his prices would have fell. And so I think that's true with the Warner thing. Now Warner might be a little different in the sense that he's not Jordan. He's not Tiger, right? We might get some casual
football
collector who sees the documentary and goes, "Oh man, I forgot how good that team was. I forgot
how good he was, or how
he was bagging groceries, and all of a sudden he's starting quarterback for the Rams."
Yeah,
that might be the exception to that. Like maybe there is going to be.
And the nice thing is he's a quarterback too. Like we said, quarterbacks kind of hold that prestige, and he's obviously a Hall of Famer too. He's a one-time Super Bowl champ and a two-time MVP. So
the Tiger thing was one of the movies with bashing him. So that was kind of a weird one. And the Jordan thing was he's already
Jordan, but this also cemented his legacy. But I think the interesting thing about the Kurt Warner one is that this is an actual movie that's going to be in theaters too, which is a little interesting. Like, whereas the others are just documentaries. So I think.
I didn't know that. Is it going to be a dramatic?
Yeah, it's going to be like a sports drama.
Like a movie?
It's not like a documentary.
So they're going to take some liberties with the story.
Yeah,
that might be a big
American
deal.
biographical sports drama film.
So it's the Eagles guy. Who am I thinking of?
Rams.
The wide receiver for the Eagles. He had a movie. Like they had tryouts. Who am I thinking of? They made a feature-length movie.
They did a drama with the Bears.
Marky Mark was the receiver. Why am I not?
Really?
Can't remember his name.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Like the 70s, early 80s. We'll give him Marky Mark.
I like Marky Mark too.
I didn't know that. I thought it was just
it's like actually a movie that's going to be.
That might change the advice a little bit. There might be a maybe.
But also, like, people have to pay money to see it, whereas was The Last Dance. Not like people had to really pay money to watch.
I was thinking more like card dealers that are real shrewd. And
Invincible is
Invincible, yeah. Joe or I can't remember. But card dealers are real shrewd in pricing, and they're pretty good at figuring out the most the secondary market's going to pay for something, and so they might build that in and go, no, this is what a retail buyer is going to pay for this card. I'd be real curious to see. It had some differences between Last Dance and Tiger Woods stuff.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Very cool.
Very cool.
All right.
Do you have anything
No,
else?
not really.
All right.
I think we're doing good. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Please share if you can, and subscribe if you're not.
We'll be back
next week with Clint. I already forgot his name. And also note that because of Jeff's work, all of our podcasts now will release at 7 o'clock on Thursday, and we'll be doing a premiere, so you can actually know exactly when we're gonna publish the podcast every week. Thanks for listening, everybody.